One of the questions I get asked all the time, like in the past couple of months, I've gotten this question 1 or 2 times a week. The question is, can I be an independent artist and start a record label, but just for myself, just for my own music or for my band's music? The obvious answer is yes, of course you can. You don't need anybody's permission to start a record label, but I really want to address this question today, and I want to dive in. I think there's 3 models that I see amongst independent record labels who are really just starting a label for themselves, either temporarily or that's the long-term plan, is just to be a record label that releases their own music. Let's discuss. By the way, thank you to Infinite Catalog. When you become a actual real label and you have royalties to pay, you should reach out to our sponsor, Infinite Catalog, because what they do is they're a platform that help record labels of all sizes manage their royalties and make sure everybody stays in the loop, and they make sure that your artists get paid. But for now, we're just talking about record labels who start as a vehicle to release an artist's music, just one artist, that artist being you, the founder of the record label. Not only is this the most common question I get, this is actually the most common storyline I hear when I interview record labels on my podcast, and when I speak to record labels on our Clarity calls and in Label Mates. The majority of people want a home to release their own music. Maybe down the road, they'll release other people's music. In fact, there are a ton of incredible record labels of all sizes that have started with the artist being the founder. In electronic music, there's Taylor Dupree's 12K Records. In punk, there is Bad Religion, who started Epitaph, and Fat Mike from NOFX, who started Fat Records. There's A&M, which is Herb Alpert's record label. Prince has his own label. The Beatles have Apple. Third Man from Jack White. There's tons of examples. And then there's smaller examples. Some of my own friends and people that I know who have a record label and for one reason or other are currently only releasing their own music. Here are the 3 common models that I see when it comes to artists who run their own record label. The first model is the fake it till you make it. This is how I got started. Basically, I was releasing a CD all the way back in 2005. I didn't want to release a CD without having a record label logo on the back. I didn't have a label. I didn't even know a label. I was sending my MP3s to a couple labels. Nobody got back to me, obviously. And so I just created a logo, came up with a name based on a play on words of one of the songs that were on the EP. And then I put that logo on the back of my CD and I put the name on the spine because I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. There's actually kind of some legit smart business reasons as to why you might want to just fake it till you make it. First of all, it is kind of impressive. It's like a marketing thing. It's going to impress your mom. It's going to impress your ex and your friends. The idea is it kind of does make you look a little bit legitimate. In fact, how many of you, raise your hand or don't if you're embarrassed, have created a fake email to try to get gigs pretending to be your own band manager? I know you have. We've all done it. It is a good marketing trick, but it also gives you confidence. It just, even though it's fake, it does think like, hey, I'm moving towards something. In fact, I kind of think of it as like a form of manifestation, because the reality is you're going to accidentally grow this fake label into a real label. It happens. And let me tell you how it happens. And that leads me to model number 2, which is expanding your radius while expanding your experience. What I mean by that is you start by self-releasing your own music, just you. And then your friends see that, this fake label, and they're kind of impressed. And they're like, hey, I want to be a part of that. And so you and your best friend now expand the radius just a little bit more. And by the time you're releasing them and their music, you have a little bit more experience from what you did when you self-released your first album. And then your friend's band is like, hey, I also have a friend who has a band. We should bring them into the fold as well. That radius just keeps getting bigger and bigger while your experience gets bigger and bigger. You start to experience more things. You get more contacts. You experiment and try new things. This is a really organic and natural way to grow your record label, starting from just you and then moving out till 5 to 10 years where you're signing bigger international artists. And you have the experience to give them resources and things that will help them in their career. Most importantly, you're starting off at the beginning with you as a guinea pig. Now, the third model is the final model, and that is the artist as the main attraction, or as I'll describe, the artist as the main curator. This is a label where the bulk of the releases, if not all of the releases, are by one artist, the founder of the label. There's a lot of labels like that. Wilco has their own label just for their music, DBPM. Asthmatic Kitty primarily does Sufjan Stevens releases. This is studio albums, live albums. There's also side projects that involve the artist in some way. Maybe the artist produces music and they want those records to be on their label. Or maybe it's just their friends or other musicians that they're fans of that they want to help out. This is a label example where the artist is the curator and the fans come to this label because they trust the artist, whether it's their music or music that they recommend and endorse. Some artists do this model because they are perfectionists, that they want to retain control, creative control. They want to retain as much money as possible. They don't want to give anything away. In fact, they're very comfortable in the music industry side of things. On the business side and the promotion side, those are things that they really don't need help with. But they still want to create a storefront, an overarching umbrella, a brand for their creativity. See, an artist might be promoting themselves, their band, or just them as a solo artist, but maybe they have a side project, some weird experimental ambient project or a dance project, or maybe they produced a really cool record and they want to share that with people. And so instead of promoting that under their own website, just their artist name, they can promote that under a record label. This is the model we call the artist as the main attraction or the artist as the curator. This is where you're doing your own thing, and the goal is that fans come to you and essentially support everything that you do because of you and your tastes. This is really the ultimate goal for a lot of independent record labels. Record label owners want to be trusted as a curator. They fancy themselves a curator to begin with, and they really want people to come to them and stay with them. In fact, this model here is where you'll see the most blind purchases from fans, where fans over the years come to appreciate you as an artist so much that when you endorse an album that you've produced or that you're not even on, but you still really love it and want people to get it, they'll just buy it because you said so. If you look at these three models for artist-run record labels, the interesting thing is that it's kind of a continual evolution. Your record label might start off as fake, just a pretend logo on the back to give you some sort of perceived legitimacy to make you feel good. Then it might slowly evolve to where some of your friends also want that feeling and they want to help you legitimize your record label until it becomes actually legitimate. Until it grows year after year into a place where music fans of a certain style, a certain genre, a certain subgenre, a certain niche will come to you as a curator. We'll come to you as an artist saying, we love your music and we love the music you recommend to us, even if that's just your releases. This to me is the great evolution of artist-run record labels. So when I get this question again, I'm going to send you to this video, but the truth of the matter is, yes, you can be a record label and just release your own releases. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's the new model for record labels. I think it's how artists can self-manage their career, but at the same time create some sort of bigger brand around their music and their creativity in general. I hope you found this helpful. If you are thinking about starting a record label, check out our free record label toolkit. It's a free download. Just go to otherrecordlabels.com/toolkit, or you can do this QR code thing here, and you can download a massive toolkit that involves checklists and templates and a bunch of things to help you get started with your record label. Thanks for watching. And thanks again to Infinite Catalog, the royalty management platform, for sponsoring today's episode.